5 minutes ago, the GUR carried out an incredible strike. Explosions ripped through Vladivostok. A secret deal between Iran and Russia has been exposed, and it's a complete shock. Britain is entering the war with powerful support for Ukraine. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Infernal flames in Moscow and numerous casualties. The West has given the green light. Putin is taking revenge. Explosions at Serbian factories. And Russia itself is on fire. Warehouses are burning, factories are burning. Watch all of this in the new Sunday episode of Hotspot. The GUR has delivered an incredible strike. Explosions thundered at the Russian Marines base right in Vladivostok. This is a record-breaking strike. Personnel and equipment have been destroyed. Serbia has been exposed. A knife in Russia's back. Hundreds of thousands of shells are heading to Ukraine, and Putin is taking revenge. Explosions in Serbia. Details of a shocking deal have been revealed. Here's what Iran received for the drones. Watch the report.
The Ukrainian armed forces have successfully taken out Russia's most advanced electronic warfare system, the Borisogledsk-2. Fighters from the 413th Raid Battalion detected the station and struck it from a distance of about 70 kilometers. The occupiers have said goodbye to yet another electronic warfare system. Border unit fighters destroyed the Russian R-330 Zhitel electronic warfare system with precise strikes from kamikaze drones as the occupiers tried to hide it among buildings. Meanwhile, in Russia's Vladivostok, explosions rang out in the Desantnaya Bay area, where military equipment is loaded and unloaded. Law enforcement agencies and special services quickly cordoned off the area, set up checkpoints, and temporarily suspended traffic. However, the reasons for the incident have not been disclosed.
Yeah, something was definitely happening, yes. A police car sped by, followed by 3 ambulances. Most likely it's related to that situation that happened at Shamora. Nothing is clear, but it's very interesting.
And while Vladivostok is searching for the cause of the explosions, Germany has approved new military aid to Ukraine worth 5 billion euros, which includes funding for long-range Ukrainian-made weapons, ammunition supplies, and more.
First and foremost, this concerns Germany's funding of long-range weaponry in Ukraine. And specifically, we're talking about Ukrainian-developed systems. In addition, it is reported that the German side will supply the Ukrainian Defense Forces with artillery shells, air defense systems, ground-based weapons, small arms, and accordingly, satellite communications.
Meanwhile, against the backdrop of these negotiations, Russia has intensified its offensive and achieved its most significant gains since January, according to the BBC. In particular, the article notes that the city of Rodinske, which is 15 kilometers from Pokrovsk, is literally saturated with enemy drones. At the same time, since the beginning of the year, Russian occupier losses have exceeded 190,000 people.
At the moment, the Russians' tactical gains amount to about 100 square kilometers. And it should be noted that the maximum tactical gains of the Russian occupation forces recorded in November 2024 were an advance into Ukrainian territory covering up to 750 square kilometers. Moreover, it should be noted that in the month of April, the Russians had their smallest tactical gains.
Russia has also started using new Dan-M drones against Ukraine. However, the company that once manufactured them has long since ceased to exist. In other words, the enemy does not have significant stockpiles of these targets.
This information should be treated with great caution because apparently it may actually refer to Iranian hybrids equipped with jet engines. If this information is confirmed, then it will indicate that the Russian Federation has acquired strike capabilities with a range of about 400 kilometers.
And Moscow transferred nearly 2 tons of gold bars to an Iranian company, totaling around $104 million as payment for the Shahed 136 attack drones.
If this information is confirmed, 104 million is equivalent to about 2 to 2,500 Shaheds. For reference, the plant in Yelabuga, which was built with the participation of Iranian specialists, currently has the capacity to produce about 10,000 Russian Geran-2 drones. This is a copy of the Shahed 136. So we're talking about the possible transfer by Iran of drones to the Russian Federation in quantities comparable to the plant's quarterly output in Yelabuga.
In addition to its cooperation with Iran, the Kremlin continues to receive weapons from North Korea. North Korea may have supplied Russia with up to 9 million artillery shells and at least 100 missiles in just the past year and a half. In exchange for this assistance, Putin gave Kim Jong-un at least 1 Pantsir-class air defense system vehicle.
Let me remind you, until quite recently, reports mentioned a maximum of 5 million shells that may have been supplied by North Korea. But even 5 million shells raises certain questions. But even taking into account the modernization of Rheinmetall's production and the U.S. military-industrial complex, the total number of munitions produced by the defense industries of Europe and the United States is about 1,200,000. So the question arises, where did North Korea get 9 million shells that they supposedly transferred to the Russian Federation?
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
A new line of defense for the Ukrainian armed forces, a new Maginot Line across the entire country. What is the Ukrainian army preparing for? The aggressor's appetite is only growing. The enemy's plans for the summer have been revealed. Here's what Putin is planning. Find all the answers in this video. The Russians are putting pressure on the Sumy region. A report on the situation on the northern front. In the northern direction, there has been an escalation of hostilities in the Sumy region. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Russian forces have intensified offensive operations to the north and northeast of the city of Sumy, capturing several settlements. According to military analysts, the occupiers currently control Konstantinovka and Vladimirovka, which are located north of the regional center. At the same time, Russian military bloggers report advances in the directions of Yablunivka, Myropilia, and Novonikolayevka, and also claim to have entered the village of Alexeyevka. On March 29th, the enemy attempted to break through in the direction of Kondratovka, which is located north of Sumy, as well as in the area of Yunakovka to the northeast. According to representatives of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine, Andriy Demchenko, Russia has concentrated significant forces in the Kursk region, which may indicate preparations for a further offensive deeper into Ukrainian territory. At the same time, as noted by the Institute for the Study of War, on May 29th, Russian offensive actions in the border area of the Kursk region did not yield any confirmed results, which indicates significant resistance from Ukrainian forces and the difficulty the enemy faces advancing in this direction. Amid the intensification of the Russian offensive along several fronts from Sumy to the south of Donetsk region, Ukraine is deploying a large-scale system of defensive fortifications, which analysts have already dubbed the new Donbas line. This is a response to the real threat of losing key cities and a strategic move to buy time and exhaust the enemy's forces. The new defensive line stretches for 350 kilometers from Kharkiv to Vilna Pol in Zaporizhzhia. Its construction began in March and has been ongoing without interruption, covering key points such as Pechenihi, Izium, Shevchenkove, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, Dobropilia, Mezhova, and Havrilivka. The most fortified section between Izium and Zolotai Kolodets includes 3 rows of anti-tank ditches, dragon's teeth, and barbed wire. For the first time, Ukraine is systematically applying the experience of previous years, creating a deeply layered defense that does not depend on the integrity of the front line. Instead of a continuous line of trenches, hundreds of independent T-shaped positions have been constructed, capable of conducting all-around defense even if neighboring sections are breached. The system relies on natural barriers such as rivers, elevations, and narrow passages, and includes strong points in cities equipped with infrastructure for prolonged resistance. Construction is complicated by the increased range of Russian FPV drones, which forces some fortifications to be moved deeper into the rear. This requires regaining air control primarily by installing anti-drone nets, without which the supply of positions could be disrupted. According to analysts, the new Donbas line is a last resort fortification designed even for the worst-case scenario, the loss of Pokrovsk, Kostiantynivka, Sloviansk, or Kramatorsk. Ukraine is prepared for prolonged resistance, understanding that strategic advantage can be gained not only through offense but also through proper defense. Meanwhile, Russia is preparing a large-scale offensive. Donbas, the south, and the northeast of Ukraine are under threat. The Russian command is actively preparing a new phase of the offensive campaign, which could begin as early as this summer and continue into the fall. The main goal is the complete occupation of the Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia regions. If sufficient resources are available, the enemy also aims to expand the front to the Sumy, Kharkiv, and even Dnipropetrovsk regions. At present, Russia does not yet have the full capability to seize all the territories it has planned. However, the military grouping in key directions is rapidly being reinforced. In the northeast, in the border area with the Kursk region, more than 65,000 personnel have been assembled. Equipment and modern weaponry have been brought in, and a staging area has been established for advancing deeper into the Sumy region. The occupying forces have already captured 4 settlements, as previously reported. At the same time, the enemy is concentrating its forces in the Kharkiv direction, as evidenced by the activity of Russian aviation, artillery, and drones in the border regions. In response to the growing threat, Ukraine is strengthening its fortification efforts. Analysts note that such defensive tactics are crucial for holding back the enemy's advance. Recent events at the front indicate the gradual unfolding of a new wave of Russia's offensive campaign, covering the Sumy, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia regions. The enemy is building up resources, concentrating troops in the north and east, has already captured certain settlements in the Sumy region, is putting pressure on Kharkiv, and is engaged in heavy fighting in the Donbas. In response, Ukraine is relying on deeply layered defense and a strategy of wearing down the enemy. Defense has now become the main condition for maintaining the initiative. For the first time, Ukraine is systematically applying the experience gained over 3 years of war. The fortifications are based on natural barriers, have an independent structure, and rely on logistics and anti-drone solutions. At the same time, analysts emphasize that time is working against Russia. If Ukraine can hold the front, secure reserves, modernize its air defense, and intensify the use of long-range weapons, then the enemy's offensive is only a matter of time, while Ukraine's survival depends on proper preparation and resource management. That's all for today. Tune in tomorrow for more news.